Okay, cool.
Here, I'll let you interview there, and we'll just use this camera.
Sick.
Now let that cool down a little bit.
All right, you ready?
All right, Phoenix.
Hello, people of the world. We got another episode of the Sam Sessions today. We're back here in the South Austin Music Acoustic A Room. To my left here, I got Phoenix Steel Knight. He's a longtime friend, co-worker, dedicated, talented young individual. At 20 years old, Phoenix, you've become you're sponsored by Gibson, Anatomy of Sound, a couple other brands that you've managed to get involved with. And I'm excited to get to know a little bit more about you today. How you feeling today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Of course, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. You got any nerves for this going at all?
No, I mean this is what I'm made to do, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Always around music, so you already know me. You're not a stranger. None of you guys are a stranger here, so it's just like home, you know.
Absolutely, good stuff. So let's kind of want to start from the beginning here. Like you said, I do know you pretty well, but you know, there's plenty for all of us to learn. As far as I understand it, you kind of started off playing on the keyboard. Is that right?
Oh no. I started off on the violin. Technically, okay. I always wanted to be a celloist or a drummer, but my dad put a guitar in my hand, you know, and so that kind of works out really well because the guitar became my source of where I can derive all of these things I liked about other instruments. Like, for example, Jimmy Page, he used the bow to, you know, emulate like violin stuff on the guitar, and so I took that notion. I did a lot of like, you know, very percussive stuff because I do have a really big love of rhythm and drums. And so the guitar is kind of a middle ground where it's very melodic. It's very like on par with steel drums, but not kind of Caribbean-esque. It's like the guitar is a different voice for it, which I really like.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I've noticed, I've seen you play around the shop before, and you do have a pretty percussive jam to the way you play. And you've told me before that comes from wanting to be a drummer originally.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I technically play a lot of math rock and very progressive style stuff. And my counterparts are very talented musicians, so I don't want to take anything away from them. But I definitely have a lot more fun kind of zoning out when I play. So anything that can help zone out but still be flashy and very fun is my very big niche. You know, that's why I like a lot of noise punk stuff. Not to be lazy in the sense of like, you know, not any musical inclination at all, but kind of controlling the chaos. I feel that's a lot more powerful and a lot more up my alley of what I want to do. So that's why, you know, I don't really want to, you know, spend 8 hours just on music theory. Of course, you know, practice as much as you can, practice with the metronome and all that type of stuff. But find what you love to do and practice that where it doesn't become a hassle and like a burden on you. It's just, you make it still fun, you know? And that's kind of what I want to do with guitar.
Yeah, it should be a hobby, a fun hobby, not so much a chore, right?
Yeah, very much so. And especially like in the business time of like, you know, monetizing everything, especially in this kind of environment of capitalism where not everything has to be a side hustle. But this is something I do want to do and, you know, make a good living off of so I can focus on it. So it's a good balance of, you know, keeping it love and keeping that genuine love for it still there. But at the same time, because I do have a love for business, so I am able to balance that out. But I always have to keep that in check. You know, everything gets out of balance and too much water can kill you, you know?
Mm-hmm, for sure. Mm-hmm. So at this age, you're 20 now, you know, some would say you're just getting started. Of course, I know you've been playing for, how long have you been playing now? Since 7 years, maybe?
Yeah, 7 years. I picked it up 7, 8 years, technically. I picked it up when I was like 12-ish, but I started playing on 6th Street when I was 13.
Okay, so at this age, have you been able to play many paid gigs?
Yeah, it's definitely been a blessing. And, you know, I actually recently played one of my favorite hired gun gigs. It was like just playing ambient music behind these slam poetry artists.
Interesting.
So shout out to Ryan. I really appreciate you being, you know, let me being a part of that. But, you know, that's what's really cool is I can now definitely be a visitor and a student in many other worlds of music. And, you know, someone with me, like, you know, being mixed, I've always found myself right in the middle of everywhere, not always choose something for this group of people. So I just kind of started embracing it and just pulling from everywhere, really.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. Just everything becomes one unique style that I try to do, a big melting pot.
Right. Yeah, because like you were saying, kind of, I've seen you play, like you said, the slam poetry gig. Of course, I know you've done some hard rock shows, some punk rock shows. You've done a pretty big variety of different kinds of things. And I also know that you did a block party just for this past New Year's, and you're playing with some like local rappers. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's so much you can learn from any genre, that I feel like, because I started off as a big thrasher that hated anything with rap in it. There's a reason why those people in their select fields are titans and are legends. And I want to learn why. And then from there, I can learn from it, be in their world as like a student, and then take it for myself and add a different flair to it, and develop new things from it too. It's just basically just trading information with different people and adding different characters in the storyline that match me a little bit more,
Do you feel that might give you an upper hand over, some of your peers in the field being able to play those different kinds of shows?
I don't think it's an upper hand. It's just something that I like to do, and there's, I guess the music industry, especially the sense of the industry being in music, makes so much things competition oriented that really shouldn't be, So in one sense, there's times where I do feel like I have an upper hand, but there's also times where I see, people who are just like one genre guys like totally kick some serious ass on it.
So talking about kind of getting into guitar, you said that your dad put the guitar in your hands. Is it fair to say that he's had a pretty big influence on you getting into this field?
Yeah, for sure. And like my whole family, like one of my pops, he has a whole story behind him too. Definitely a really big influence on my stylings and how I am. If I were to be memed as a guitar player, it would probably be, I'm a popcorn guy because of my slaps or my use of harmonics. Definitely because of like Tim Hansen, a lot of these people in the new like neo soul math rock community. But my dad was an avid lover of harmonics. It just added this different dynamic to it. He's definitely an okay player. He even says that I ruined his love for guitar. Just pick it up. He likes to watch me more, which is awesome, and I really love that. But guitar for him was big. He told me that he strapped this guitar to his body when he slept on the streets of LA. That was our comfort, at least in our family. It was always, for some reason, like music and a music instrument was always a second home, if not sometimes our only home.
Very cool. So are you from LA originally, or were you born here?
No, I'm born and raised here. So
Austin, Texas.
Yeah, my family's from all over, but I'm an Austin baby, so.
Very cool, very cool. And how has the Austin music scene kind of enhanced your playing? Has it made it easier to get into gigs?
The Austin scene is definitely so mixed cultured, so there's a lot of parts where I do feel at home for me. But that competitive nature has, also polluted a lot of like friendships and a lot of things that really shouldn't have been there. Some people just feel threatened so easily when, at least in my group, I like to embrace that everyone's strengths. There's some things that some of my band members blow me away at, and I could choose to be very, sad or be like, I wish I could do that, or silence them on that to have my spotlight. But no, that's what gets, some of the top big bands is John Bonham on drums, and then John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page, and they're not holding back at all. They're all united, pushing the limit, pushing the envelope. And that's what I like to do. And sadly, some people are, one-man shows, and that's totally fine. But so the Austin scene is just kind of, it's weird. It's still trying to find its new place because, blues is sadly dead. I definitely love where it's coming from, but a lot of people are trying to figure out what to do next with blues, and trying to do next with music in general. And kind of in that stage of infancy, there's a lot of learning process, and of course there's going to be times where a lot of people butt heads because we're just all still trying to learn and trying to figure out where we're trying to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking about your group's Audio Sex Drive. How long have you been a part of that group?
I formed it last year after I disbanded one of my other groups, Perth.
Okay, and so you kind of take on a bit of a leadership role in this group, is that right?
Yeah, it started as my solo project because I just want to do everything sometimes. That's kind of my main staple, like I was talking about earlier, just kind of accepting that, I'm a pull from everywhere. I don't really have a lot of home bases. Like I don't have a home base with any of my race per se because not there. So that's music for me. It's just like pull from everywhere.
Yeah.
Music is your like home space, safe space, whatever, but I'm pulling from all of it.
Yeah, it's cool because a great leader can kind of knows when to step back and let the people that are experts in their own field act in that way. And it seems that you've kind of already got a handle on that, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, it definitely took a lot of learning, and I appreciate those kind words from it too. I love my group. I love the guys in it. It's been a really amazing experience being around very competent and confident musicians. There are also great people outside of it. Yeah. Because music is all about connecting. That's what kind of Audio Sex Drive kind of came from. That name is actually connecting with people and my philosophy about music. And so it's really cool that not only does I feel I finally found my space where I can really emphasize my philosophy on music, but my group also, takes it to a whole new level and teaches me so much, and we just all just learn from each other.
Now, talking about some of these hired gun shows that you've done and some of the other paid gigs you've done, how many shows did you do before you felt comfortable on stage playing guitar? Was it right there off the bat? You were
right
good?
First show. Yeah, right first show.
Just felt natural?
Yeah, I mean, even my dad wanted to drug test me after a show. I was just like, nah, I just love it,
So drug test, does that come from you being an energetic presence on stage?
Yeah, it's, he was like, your eyes are rolling back. It's like, nah, I just love it, man. I loved being on stage.
It's like, no, you gotta be on drugs to be doing this.
Yeah, because my dad, we both started out with the love of Van Halen, and so I would joke around. It became an inside joke with my paper jams to mimic Van Halen's like stage presence, which is his jumps and his energetic stuff, because they are a party group, and of course, he was under the influence, but
Right.
I wasn't. I was learning from that.
Uh-huh.
And so when I got on stage, I was like, I had to jump. I had to do all this stuff. And it just felt natural to me. So I kept on doing it. And of course, my dad was like, what's going on? And of course, now he's like, yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah. I can only imagine like how it might be tough to, stay focused on your craft while you're on stage and play at your very best, but also at the same time be something to look at and be entertained by outside of just the music,
There's a time and place for everything. There's some people who are great musicians. There's also some people who are great musicians and entertainers. And there's some people who are also entertainers. It's just really interesting to see all that. Like before I used to, hate groups like, that's like Harry Styles because they have people write for them, but they're great entertainers,
Okay.
And so backed with great music writers, that's how they can take over the world,
Yeah.
So, but I like to be on stage. I like to give it my best. Kind of my thing is, as long as you feel me, that's kind of the idea. I'm not trying to really impress you as long as that you understand what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, very cool. So I've heard you talk about Eddie Van Halen quite a bit. It's probably fair to say that he's a big inspiration to you. Do you have any other inspirations that have kind of helped you get to where you are now?
Yeah, there's a lot. I guess like the main stakes. So at least when I started out, it was very classic rock. So in that phase of my life, it was Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen. Jimmy Page, not so much, but he was kind of one of those guys that helped a lot. And Tony Iommi, definitely the main guitar gods, rightfully so, and Joe Satriani too. And he kind of helped segue me into like these new type of stuff, like Tim Henson, Jason Richardson, Yvette Young from Covet, Chon, like really good math rock musicians that are pushing the envelope, just like Eddie Van Halen, and making stuff that like will be always super classic, on par like of Eruption by Van Halen.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about guitar music.
So talking about, the local Austin music scene, like what are some of the big inspirations you've had just locally in Austin?
Yeah, so and definitely working in the shop, which I'm always blessed to be here. I run to a lot of musicians that I can learn off stage. Like one of my coworkers, Scott, big music theory guy, just like seeing how you run stuff, I can take down like, I like that, and so schools me on stuff. And I'm lucky to have some great musicians in my group that I invited because I saw them play and do other stuff. like Josue, the guitarist in the group. He has his stuff, State Chump, great indie music, great producer. He also does stuff with Shirtlift, which is one of my favorite rappers to come out from here. And in general, I just like their mix of Blue October, Spanish rap, and modern rap as well. And he did that with Look North Recording, which my friend Darian out there, he's great. Got to see Blue Tongue. Trey Pham is the guitarist and the singer, and I invited him to be the bass player in my group. And that funk in that group is great. And the drummer Mike, amazing. I definitely like to pull from drummers too to take it onto my guitar.
Right.
Rickshaw Billy's Burger Patrol is another one. That was a great time. I even got my little brother into it, and he's loving it. There's a lot of bands I also have seen here that just like kind of like started coming around here. They're not like from Austin, but like Black Pistol Fire is another one. Holy Death Trio. I'm a big fan of Trey Alvaro. He definitely inspired me a lot, at least how I write drums for some of my stuff. And the group The Fuss that were out in Dallas and Fort Worth. So a list that goes way down, of course. So
Very cool. Yeah. There's so many people to look at and kind of draw inspiration from in this town. Mm-hmm. And so one of the cool things about being in Austin, I'd say for sure. Yeah. Have you been lucky enough to see any of those, bigger names or any of the local names? Have you been lucky enough to see them on stage and see their shows?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely love doing shows. I mean, before COVID, of course, and then slowly coming back out. Me and my dad did stand up just watching going out to a lot of shows. And
do you have any top favorites or best experiences at a show?
I mean, the show that got me to play music, like seriously, was seeing Black Sabbath with Ozzy, and it was at like Frank Oren Center. When I saw everyone like sing along with War Pigs, like that's a powerful feeling. So I was like, I want to be able to do that and make something that creates that feeling in people that like that song did for me. Mm-hmm. So that one's definitely a big staple for me. Yeah,
I can only imagine what it's like to, music, of course, but with any art, like creating a piece of art and having a giant crowd in front of you just kind of reciprocate the energy that they got from that. Mm-hmm. Would you say that that's almost the ultimate goal for you with music, is to put something into the world for people to enjoy? Is there something more to it?
I think everyone wants to leave a legacy. It'd be cool to do something that is like immortalized in history, and just trying to learn how to get to that status. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is definitely a big part of it, but there's so much that I derive from music, and that's why I choose to do this more so than anything else. Right. So yeah, it does play a big part, but there's also so much other stuff.
So talking about Anatomy of Sound, I know that they create picks. Do they do anything beyond that? And also, is it Larry that you came in contact with to get connected with them?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Larry with Anatomy of Sound and how you came in contact with them.
Oh, Larry is great. He treats me like I am like a playing Madison Square Garden every day, which is amazing. So I love the guys there at Anatomy of Sound. I started off with picks, and I kind of started segueing out of it. Picks are not really my thing until I met these guys. I just like, playing with my fingers a lot, being connected with it. And what's really cool, seeing Larry, my buddy showed me at NAMM. I was like, dude, I don't play picks. And he's like, you just gotta come here. These are the best picks. And it's good when someone outside of the family is, trying to be the salesman. So of course I went over there. And, those picks were great. They're very comfortable. They're actually like an extension of my fingertips. So when I do use picks, those are the only picks I do use. And they have a lot of other stuff under wraps that they are creating. So I don't know if I have the, able to release all that. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
But there's a lot of cool stuff. And Larry and his team are very innovative. And I really appreciate that they actually, give a damn with what they're trying to do, give quality, and push the envelope. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do musically. So it's really cool to work with a business that's doing that, with the gear.
Very cool. Yeah, so is that how you met Larry, was at NAMM?
Yeah, and super sweet guy. He's done so much for me. And, we're trying to go up there this year for NAMM and see him, of course, and support their bill. Yeah.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. And getting back to Gibson, you've been with Gibson for probably 2.5, 3 years now,
Yeah,
right?
crazy ride.
Yeah, and how did you get that started? I mean, you were 19 when you started with Gibson, so I can only imagine how you managed to pull that off.
You know, it was a weird time for my guitar career, and just it felt somewhat static. So I'm definitely very grateful for the team at Gibson. I got lucky enough to be considered an option for top 10 guitarists under 20 for the Dallas Guitar Festival, and thanks of David Malone and the guys who run that fest. So when I went out there, the CFO of Gibson was, at least at the time he was a CFO, one of the judges, as well as Mark Agnesi. So to see those two titans in that room judging, even though I lost the competition to some of my other now peers in the Gibson community, that's what kind of started it, because later on I hit them up and they gave me the last spot and then they closed it off.
Yeah.
So I recently graduated from that program. They got a whole new line of people, which I really recommend. It's the Gibson G3 artist group, and those kids are very talented. And I'm still in touch with a lot of the guys that I was in the group with to begin with, too.
Cool. And so with a sponsorship with Gibson, what exactly does that entail? Are they sending you a free guitar every week, or are they sending you some strings?
They're definitely been very, very gracious. They definitely have helped a lot of things in my career, but they also gave me a lot of experiences, like fun experiences that will always be memorable to me too, that are equally as profitable as a $5,000 guitar too.
Right.
The family there helps a lot, which is kind of like my next gear, or if I want to take anything to the studio type thing. But sometimes I do get some stuff to help promote.
So how long have you been working in South Austin music?
About 5 years, so 2017 or so, 5 or 6 years.
Obviously, you know this. It's definitely a very tight-knit family here. I feel comfortable saying most of the people that started working here started off as customers for years before they became employees. Was that the same course of action for you?
No, I got really lucky. My friend Jacob Bibby in the group Sad So, which I definitely recommend checking out. I'm very grateful for him giving me this opportunity to say that.
And how did he give you the opportunity to start working here?
Because me and him were working a lot, and he was like, Billy's looking for people, and I came on board, and ever since then, Billy has definitely liked me, which I'm glad that he does, and gave me everything that I got here. Gave me another home in Austin, which is nice.
Right. And there's so few people working here, and we kind of all fall into our own niche here and what we kind of specialize in. What would you say is your specialty here at South Austin Music?
Definitely electric guitars and pedals. Some pro audio stuff. Definitely experimenting with sound too is another one. Even if I don't know all the ins and outs of something, I can definitely help find some sounds with people. And that's always a great time, because I even pull inspiration from customers here, from pros and beginners. Just because a beginner is trying to figure out the easiest way to do something. So if they play something, it's going to be the least resistance. It might not sound the best, but I take that thing. And of course, working with pros and putting some pedals together, I'm like, I like that combination that person did or asked for.
And so you have quite a bit of work experience outside of South Austin Music. I know you worked a little bit in the bar scene on 6th Street before you worked here, and you did some other things as well. How does working at South Austin Music differ than a bar, or differ than a regular retail spot?
It's definitely super lax, and all the hard work behind it is not really hard work in a sense, because I love what I do here. Like when I worked at Dell behind the office, it was just numbers are meaningless to me. I definitely like being part of an office job too, but there's no love behind it. So it's really cool to combine all my strengths and everything I learned from past jobs, like to the bar life, to the working at Dell or working at Escape Game, but having and adding the love aspects, my passion behind it too. Right. So it combines everything that I loved and really liked about my job, but amplified it by 100.
Is there any specific experiences that you've had with a customer that kind of stuck with you?
Definitely a lot of customers here are so nice and gracious to learn. I like that atmosphere a lot. I guess the customers that stand out are the ones that are abrasive, just because that they're out of the norm. So I'm very blessed to say that my regular ordinary is always great experiences. So it's kind of hard to say that if anything, at least that comes to mind right now, stands out. Because honestly, all the customers that I have here are great.
Right, right. So growing up in Austin, are there places that you've always gone to on a regular basis that you don't ever see yourself not going to anymore? Like, what are some of your favorite local spots around town?
Yeah, definitely love South Lamar because it's here. I grew up on Fifth Street, so I know the city like it's the back of my hand. I just used to like walking around in the middle of the night when I get off like really late, especially on a Monday, Tuesday night. The city is like a ghost town, and there's times where I just walk in the middle of this road in downtown and just like blasting a lot of music and just kind of recentering myself.
Right.
Like, of course, there's a lot of food places I like to go. Tyson's Tacos. 6th Street, not so much, of course. But definitely a lot of parts that I like about Austin. I'm starting to narrow down. Like, I center myself along Guad, like in West Campus. I live up in Lake Travis right now. I have a lot of parts, my friends and Kyle. So it's honestly just all over the place. It's like I feel like I live in 3 cities that are all in one.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely, absolutely. So doing some of these like you talked about doing hired gun shows and things like that. Are there any experiences you've had doing any of those shows that stick with you?
Like the slam poetry one I was mentioning, that was one of the first gigs I actually like cried out because the music was very moving. And what's really cool is that there was 2 out of the like 5 or 6 of the people I was backing up that we actually prepared with. And so they trusted me to create the vibe, as Ryan would say. And it was awesome because I could really be on the moment. I was listening to what they're saying and really trying to understand it, to emulate it on the music. And it hit me on a couple of things. I honestly would say I didn't expect to be that moved by slam poetry. Not that I'm not a fan of it or what they do, but it was just so powerful that I could not help it. And everyone in the room was such an amazing crowd and audience. So that's one of my favorites. And one of my favorites as well was I was leaving this problematic program that kind of, really mistreated me when I was like really young. And no one cheered on for me, only cheered on for everyone else. I remember this kid, I call him like a little angel. Everyone was, this was my last show with the program and no one was really talking to me. Not even the teachers, but this one 8-year-old kid about to go up was like, you did a great job. And that was my last compliment from that program. And that really moved me. And I knew I'm doing it for the right reason, for the right people, for people like that, that kind of are not the ones that you see, because, there's some times where we feel invisible. And it was just really cool to have that moment with that person.
Yeah, when you put hours on top of hours into a craft, it's always nice to get the feedback, the positive feedback.
Yeah, for sure. But it's weird because you really can't expect it too. I really am a big fan of genuine intimacy. So I don't want to force people like you have to congratulate me and all of that. But it was really nice that I compelled this young kid to do that. And it really moved me. I don't know the kid's name or anything. I'm not sure if he even is going to remember this. He's probably like, I don't know, 20 now too.
Right.
So, but it's just really interesting how much that one compliment and that time I needed it has really moved me and kept me going outside that program because I was trying to reach out to do it on my own.
Well, this has been awesome. But like I said, I work with you almost every single day, and I know you pretty well, but I feel like I've learned quite a bit myself here. Now, the next part of this, less long form and more, I'm kind of just looking to get your like immediate reaction to different things.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll ask you like, this or this and just see where you go with it. And just kind of give me the quickest answer you can. So we'll start simple, right? Acoustic or electric?
Electric.
Adidas or Nike?
Adidas.
Pants or shorts?
Pants.
Winter or summer?
Winter.
Winter.
Mm-hmm.
Downtown or country?
Downtown, man.
Okay. Bar or club?
Bar.
Bar. Live show or listening to music in your room with friends?
Ooh, that's hard. I guess a live show, yeah.
Live show?
Mm-hmm.
Long hair or short hair?
I'm medium hair
Medium?
for me.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Boots or tennis shoes?
Tennis shoes.
Bath or shower?
Shower. I'm not laying in my own filth.
Yeah.
Unless it's a bath bomb. You know?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those bath bombs sometimes, man. Gotta exfoliate.
Oh, gosh.
Dinner date or picnic?
Ooh, dinner date.
Wine or beer?
Beer.
Tacos or pizza?
Oh, damn, man. If I have to, at least in Austin, tacos.
Tacos?
Yeah,
I'll give you a trick question. Gibson or Martin?
Gibson.
Good answer. Keep the sponsors happy. Long form interview or short?
I actually like long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like those. Get down and personal.
Would you rather spend the day working or would you rather spend the day hanging out in your room?
1 or 2 days hanging out in my room, but I prefer always being busy.
Yeah. Hard shell or gig bag?
Hard show.
Semi-hollow electric or solid body?
Sammy.
Yeah.
Semi-hollow body all the way.
As we can see, yeah.
Yeah. My baby Lux.
What are your 2 top favorite amps?
So right now, the amps that I actually use are Quilter. It's a Quilter Tone Block 202, and I had that with a Marshall 2x12 with some
Okay.
Eminence speakers. It's all my low end, and then I just recently got a Jazz Course 120 from the 80s.
Okay.
And so I run those 2 amps, and that's all I need right now.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, here's maybe one. New music or music from the 80s and 90s?
Ooh, I always loved 80s or 90s music, but I haven't been listening to that much. So I have to say new music right now because I'm trying to figure out what's the next thing that's going to happen, you know. Trying to learn from it to trying to make the next, you know.
Would you rather play the big local venue like Frank Irwin Center or would you rather go national like Madison Square Garden?
Well, I actually played at Frank Irwin, not as what people think is like, you know, I was just backing up a choir for graduation, but that was a special moment because that's where I saw Black Sabbath. So that's where I actually knew I wanted to be a musician. Thanks to my choir teacher, Forrest. Shout out for Austin High School. It was just really nice just to walk around and just strum a chord and just hear it amplified throughout the room. So I already done that, and sadly, you know, it's already been sold out. So the era of Frank Irwin Center is no more. So I'm excited.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
I'm excited to see the next Frank Irwin Center, and you bet I'll be there soon. So.
Hell yeah. All right, I think I've learned plenty about you I didn't know before. I think we all have.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun. I think the only thing left is really just for you to back it all up with some guitar playing.
Oh, shit. All right. No, of course.
All right, let's hear it.